Hi guys, we are starting our third potholder in the 2024 Potholders Galore Crochet Along. Introducing the Summer Sunsets Potholder, a double thick potholder that is crocheted in the round and uses the moss stitch. One of the greatest things about the moss stitch is that it allows busy and colorful yarn to shine through. So pick out your most colorful yarn that never seems to work for other projects, and let's get started. You can find the free written pattern linked in the description box below, as well as a list of materials and the amount of yarn needed to make this potholder in the following screen. Alright guys, to start your potholder, leave a long tail and make a slip knot. Place it on your hook and tighten it up. Now, to make size number 1, we are going to chain 34. To make size number 2, we are going to chain 40. And to make any size that you would like, just chain an even number until you're satisfied with the width of your potholder. To start round 1, we are going to skip the first chain right beside our hook, so right here, and we're going to go into the second chain from the hook. We're going to go underneath the top loop, and we're going to make a single crochet. Yarn over, draw up a loop, so we have 2 loops on our hook, yarn over, and pull through both loops. That makes a single crochet. And now we are going to take our stitch marker and we're just going to mark that stitch because that is the first stitch of our round. Now we're going to chain 1 and we're going to skip the next chain. So skip this one and we're going to go into the next one and we're going to make a single crochet. Chain 1. Again, skip the next chain and go into the following chain and make a single crochet, chain 1. We're going to do this all the way across until we get to our last chain. So skip the first chain, go into the second chain under that top loop and make a single crochet, chain 1. Okay guys, when you have 2 chains remaining, we are going to skip that second last chain and we're going to go into our last chain and we're going to make 1 single crochet. We're going to chain 2 and we're going to make a second single crochet all into that same chain. Now chain 1. This stitch, the single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, chain 1, that counts as our corner stitch. So this is what the row is looking like so far. We have these little gaps here between our stitches. And now we are going to rotate our work so that we can crochet along the bottom of our chain. So we're going to skip that last chain that we worked into. So just skip it entirely. We're going to skip the next chain. So this unworked chain, we're going to skip it. Into that next chain, this is where our single crochet is. So we're going to insert our hook and make a single crochet, chain 1. So that way our single crochets line up. So we're going to skip that first chain. We're going to go into the next chain with the single crochet and we're going to make a single crochet, chain 1. Okay. Skip the first chain here, go into the next chain with the single crochet, go underneath that bottom loop and make your single crochet, chain 1. And we're going to do this all the way across until we get to our final chain. Okay guys, we have 2 chains remaining. So we're going to skip over this first chain right here and we're going to go into the next chain, which lines up with our first single crochet that we made. So insert your hook into that bottom chain and we're going to make our second corner. So we're going to make a single crochet, we're going to chain 2, and we've already made our second single crochet. This is that first single crochet that we made. So at this point our corner is complete and we just need to close the round. So we're going to take our stitch marker from our first single crochet, going to remove it, and we are going to mark our last chain that we made. Okay. Insert your hook into that first single crochet going underneath both loops, and we're going to make a slip stitch. So yarn over, pull through the stitch, and pull through the loop on your hook to complete that slip stitch. So this is what round 1 looks like. To start round 2, we're going to turn our work so that we're looking at the back side of our stitches. And the reason that we turn our work is so that the seam, so basically where we make our slip stitches, it's so that it doesn't move and it stays straight and invisible along the side of our potholder. If we don't turn our work, what's going to happen is our seam is going to move and it's going to go in a diagonal, and we're going to be able to see it along the back side of our potholder. Okay, so now that our work is turned, we are going to chain 1. This beginning chain 1 does not count as a stitch, and we're going to look here. So this is where our stitch marker is, and if we pull up on it, do you guys see that gap or that hole right there? That's our chain 2 space, our corner chain 2. So we are going to work into that space. So this stitch marker just kind of marks that for us so that we can find it. So remove that stitch marker, insert your hook into that chain 2 space, and we're going to make a single crochet. And that's our first stitch of the round, so just mark that with your stitch marker, going under both loops. Okay, now we're going to chain 1, and we're going to skip this first single crochet, and we're going to go into the next chain 1 space. So the chain 1 space, you can always find it. It's between these 2 single crochets here, and if you just gently pull on your work, you're going to see a tiny hole there. So right here, you're going to insert your hook into that space and make a single crochet, chain 1. Now skip the single crochet and work into that chain 1 space. So just separate your work a little bit to find that next space, go into it and make a single crochet, chain 1. Skip the next single crochet, find your next chain 1 space and insert your hook into the space and make a single crochet, chain 1. And we're going to do this all the way around. Okay, so we've arrived at our first corner stitch right here. So there's 2 single crochets and there's that chain 2 space. So go into that space and make a single crochet, chain 1. And now rotate your work. So now we're working along this side of our potholder. And again, skip the next single crochet and go into that chain 1 space and make a single crochet, chain 1 all the way around. Alright guys, so we have one more chain 1 space to work into. It's between these 2 single crochets here. So we're just going to make our last single crochet, chain 1. Now find your first stitch, your first single crochet of the round, and we are going to remove our stitch marker from it, and we're going to mark the last chain 1 that we made. Okay, Now find your first single crochet right here, insert your hook under both loops, and we're going to make a slip stitch. So yarn over, pull through the stitch and through the loop on your hook to close the round. So this is what round 2 looks like. To start round 3, again guys, we are going to turn our work to keep our seam nice and straight, and we're going to chain 1. That beginning chain 1 does not count as a stitch. So this stitch marker, it marks our first chain 1 space of the round. So just pull up on it and you can see that there's a gap or space between these 2 single crochets. So we're going to skip over this single crochet. We're going to remove our stitch marker and we're going to insert our hook into that chain 1 space, and we're going to make a single crochet. Mark this with your stitch marker because this is our first stitch of the round, and we're going to chain 1. Now skip over this single crochet and find your next chain 1 space right here and make a single crochet, chain 1. Skip the next single crochet and make your single crochet, chain 1 into the chain 1 space. Skip the single crochet, go into the next chain 1 space and make a single crochet, chain 1. And we're going to do this all the way around. So round 3 is the exact same as round 2. Alright guys, and again, we're kind of coming up around that corner, that edge of our potholder. So just do your best to try to find those chain 1 spaces and then work around the other side of our potholder. We have one last chain space to work into because we only have 2 single crochets remaining. So go into that chain 1 space and we're going to make our single crochet, chain 1. We're going to mark that last chain 1 with our stitch marker. We're going to find the first stitch of our round, remove it, insert your hook under both loops and make a slip stitch to close the round. So this is what round 3 looks like, and as you guys can see, our potholder is kind of starting to close in on itself and make a little pouch, which is exactly what we want. Okay guys, to start round 4, turn your work and we are just going to repeat round 2. So we're going to chain 1, which doesn't count as a stitch. We're going to find that first chain 1 space by pulling up on our stitch marker so that we can see that space. So just remove it quickly and make your single crochet. Mark that with your stitch marker and chain 1. Now going into every chain 1 space around, we're going to make a single crochet, chain 1. Okay guys, we've just made our last single crochet, chain 1. So now we're just going to find that first single crochet of the round, insert our hook into that stitch and make a slip stitch to close the round. This is what round 4 looks like. Now at this point, I am working along the inside of my potholder, so I'm just going to turn my work so that I'm on the outside, and when I turn my work, this is the side that faces me. Now, if this is the side of your potholder that you really like, then you're not going to fasten off. You're going to continue using this yarn to close the top of your potholder. But if you actually prefer, let's say, this side of the potholder, well, our yarn's all the way over here, and we need it to be over here so that we can crochet all the way across. So we're going to have to fasten on. For people that need to fasten on, I'll show you how to do that. For people that are just going to be able to use the same yarn that's attached to them, you guys will begin after I do the fasten on and work from those instructions. So to fasten on, what we're going to do is we're just going to lay our potholder flat, and we're going to find that first chain 1 space on the left side of our potholder. We're going to insert our hook into that first chain 1 space. We're going to yarn over with our yarn, and we are going to chain 1 to secure it to our potholder. All right, now for people that didn't need to fasten on, this is where we start. We make a chain 1 to start. We're going to insert our hook back into that first chain 1 space. Now, on the back side, we're going to find the first chain 1 space of the back. See how there's a single crochet here, a single crochet here, and there's that gap in between? That's where we're going to insert our hook. So into that first chain 1 space of the back, we're going to yarn over, pull through both chain 1 spaces, and make a single crochet. And that effectively joins those 2 chain 1 spaces together. Now we're going to chain 1. We're going to skip over our single crochet stitches, and we're just going to be working into the chain 1 spaces. So we're going to find our next available chain 1 space on the front side. So right here, going to insert our hook. We're going to find our next available chain 1 space on our back side. So we've already worked into this one. This is going to be our second one here. We're going to make a single crochet, chain 1, and we're going to do this all the way across. So find your next available chain 1 space on the front, and find the matching chain 1 space on the back, and make a single crochet, chain 1, all the way across. All right guys, we are coming up on our last 2 chain 1 spaces. So again, find the front, find the back, chain 1. So on the side here, do you guys see there's a single crochet here and there's a single crochet here. So it's a little hard to see, but there is going to be a gap or a hole between these 2 single crochets. So insert your hook into those 2 chain 1 spaces, and basically you're going to be going behind this side single crochet, and we're going to make our last single crochet, and that effectively closes the top of our potholder. We're going to chain 13 to make our chain circle. So we're going to chain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So we're going to find that first chain that we made and turn our work to the side, and we're going to insert our hook into the side of that chain so that we pick up both of those loops. We're going to yarn over and make a slip stitch to close that chain circle. Now it's time to fasten off, so we're going to yarn over, pull through the loop on our hook, and we're going to keep pulling to make a nice long tail. You guys can cut this if it's still a bit longer than this. It's time to weave in your ends, and especially this chain circle. So we're just going to thread our needle with our yarn, and I like to just insert it into the corner of my potholder and go inside the potholder. Okay, and then come out the other side. and that pulls it nice and tight and flush. And at this point you can make a knot, weave it through a few more stitches, and then when you're ready you can trim your tail. Alright guys, this wraps up our Summer Sunsets Potholder. I hope that you guys enjoyed the tutorial, and please feel free to share a picture of your finished potholder in our Facebook crochet-along group. It's linked in the description box below. I will see you in 2 weeks on Wednesday, August 7th for our 4th potholder pattern. Until then, I hope you guys have a wonderful day and a wonderful couple of weeks, and I will see you next time.